All right, so we're diving into this All-Star Weekend thing. Seems like the internet just can't stop talking about it, even days later. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and what's interesting is you see like really strong reactions on both sides, right? Like some people are like, yes, the NBA finally did something different, and others are just like, this is a total disaster.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you really want to figure out what actually worked and what flopped, right? Like, beyond just the headlines.
Absolutely. And, just to remind everyone, the NBA went for a completely different format this year. So instead of that, like, classic East versus West,
Right?
we had four teams. We had Shaq's OGs, we had Chuck's Global Stars, uh, Kenny's Young Stars, and then, of course, the Rising Stars.
Yeah, and they added in the Elam ending for every game, right? So no clock in those final minutes. Just a target score to hit. 40 points for the semifinals and then 25 for the championship.
Yeah.
And they even threw in, like, some pretty big cash prizes, right, to try to up the stakes. But the big question is, like, did it actually make the game more competitive?
Well, I think based on, all the reactions that we're seeing, it seems like people are kind of split on that.
Right.
So some fans were like genuinely impressed with the level of intensity, especially when you compare it to, the, how do we say, more relaxed effort
Right.
that we've seen in past All-Star games.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
saw so many comments praising those defensive stands and all those clutch plays,
Yeah.
especially in, like, the Rising Stars versus the OGs game.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the championship. Like, even Charles Barkley said, players actually guarded the perimeter in the final minutes. That's a win.
Yeah. Not something you hear every day.
Exactly.
So by taking away that clock and just having this target score, the Elam ending kind of changes like everything. It changes all the strategy basically.
Mm.
Every possession is suddenly like super important, and it makes players have to actually, try.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't just, like, goes through it anymore.
Yeah. But, it's not all perfect, right? I mean, even with all this praise for the competition, there's a bunch of fans who felt like those target scores, especially 40 for the semifinals, were just way too low.
Yeah.
Like they ended the games way too fast.
Yeah. Especially when things were just, like, getting good.
Right, exactly. And I saw one comment, I think they suggested a target score of like 60 or even 75 for future games. They were basically saying the current format just cuts things off too soon and kind of robs the players of a chance to really like show off their skills and build up that momentum.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like they were trying to, like, force this quick, exciting finish, right?
Right.
But then ended up kind of messing up, the flow of the game, how it's supposed to go.
Right. Exactly. It's like finding the balance. Right. So maybe they need to play around with that target score a bit more,
Right.
just to find that sweet spot between having those crazy finishes and, giving the players enough time to actually play.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's talk about something else.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people were not happy about.
Uh-oh.
Like all of the non-basketball stuff.
Ah.
Right? There were so many commercials, like every other minute it felt like, and celebrity segments and those halftime shows. One comment I saw, they called it a commercial featuring basketball,
Ooh.
which I got to say, I think that sums it up perfectly.
Yeah, it's tough, because on one hand, the NBA, they're trying to bring in like a bigger audience, people who don't necessarily watch basketball all the time.
Right.
But then on the other hand, they might end up pushing away their like core fans, the people who just want to watch basketball.
Right, exactly. And we're seeing that disconnect in a lot of the discussions. Like, people felt like bombarded by all these interruptions.
Yeah.
And it took away from, actually enjoying the game. It's almost like the NBA was saying, entertainment is more important than the actual game.
It definitely raises like a big question, right?
Yeah.
Can the NBA find that balance
Right.
between, keeping those casual viewers happy and, without making their diehard fans mad?
Right.
Or are they always going to like disappoint one group when they try to make the other group happy?
And it's a tough spot.
It is. It's a tough one for sure. They got to figure out a way to make like a good show, one that those casual viewers will enjoy, but without like getting rid of the stuff that, those hardcore fans love.
Right, exactly. And while we're talking about stuff that people didn't love, can we talk about the broadcast itself?
Uh-oh. What happened?
I mean, Kevin Hart
Oh, yeah.
being there all the time, and some of his jokes were, I don't know, a little cheesy.
Yeah. I saw some people online, they were saying like he was trying too hard to be the center of attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And it kind of took away from the game itself.
right. And then there was Draymond Green.
Oh, yeah. What about him?
He just kept criticizing the All-Star game, like, the whole time.
While it was happening?
Yeah, like he was trying to make everyone miserable.
Oh, man. Classic Draymond. But honestly, his commentary did get people talking.
Yeah, some people liked that he was being honest,
Right.
but others thought it was, like, disrespectful.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of ruined the mood. I wonder if TNT put him up to it.
Right, like, were they trying to make things more dramatic on purpose?
Yeah, you never know with those guys.
And then that whole tribute to the Inside the NBA crew.
Oh, yeah. Right in the middle of the championship game.
Yeah, like, come on. Seriously.
I think a lot of people were confused by that one. Like, yeah, the Inside the NBA crew, they're legends, right?
Yeah.
But that was like the worst possible time for that.
Exactly.
It just made it seem like TNT cared more about themselves than about the actual game.
Right. And it all kind of goes back to this feeling,
What feeling?
that the NBA is trying too hard to, like, manufacture excitement instead of just letting the game be the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like they're trying to force it. Which might be why people are comparing it to that NHL Four Nations tournament, remember?
Oh, yeah. That thread where people were saying how those NHL guys play, like, super hard in their All-Star event.
Right.
But the NBA players, it's like they're just going through the motions.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. Makes you wonder why,
Totally.
Like, one theory is that those NHL guys, they come from a sport that's not as popular, right? So maybe they feel like they got to prove something.
Yeah, maybe they play with, like, a chip on their shoulder, like they're trying to show everyone how awesome hockey is.
Right, but there's also the promotion aspect. The NHL has done a really good job making that Four Nations tournament seem important, even though it's just like a fun exhibition game, technically.
Right, whereas the NBA, it's like they can't decide if the All-Star game is supposed to be serious or just, like, a big party.
Yeah, and maybe that's why some of those NBA guys aren't really trying, like they don't know what's expected of them.
Right. I saw one person online, they said the NBA should do what the Four Nations tournament does,
What's that?
where, like, the winner gets all the prize money.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Do you think that would make the players actually try harder?
I mean, it would definitely make things more intense. Like, can you imagine if millions of dollars were over the line?
Right. But wouldn't that also make players, like, more selfish?
Oh, yeah, good point. Like, they might just care about winning the money for themselves.
Yeah, which kind of defeats the purpose of an All-Star game,
Totally. It's like a double-edged sword,
Right.
Could be more fun to watch, but it might ruin the whole, like, team spirit thing.
It's that same problem we keep running into, right?
Yeah, trying to make everyone happy.
Appealing to casual fans, but keeping the core fans happy.
Exactly. And trying to make it fun without, messing with the integrity of the game.
Right. What did you think about the Elam ending, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we talked about the strategy stuff, but did it make the games, like, more fun to watch?
I think it really depends. Like, some people loved the extra drama,
Yeah.
how it made every possession feel important.
Right.
But other people, they felt like it kind of messed up the natural flow of the game and that some of the endings were anticlimactic.
Yeah, yeah. Like when a team just wins with a free throw.
Right. It's not as exciting as a buzzer beater.
Exactly.
It's almost like they're trying too hard to make it exciting.
Right.
That's something we see a lot these days.
What do you mean?
Like in sports and movies, everywhere. It's like everyone wants that instant excitement.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want to wait for it to build naturally.
Like, we've forgotten how to appreciate the little things,
Exactly.
The slow build-up.
Right.
The subtle plays.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
So maybe the Elam ending, it made the game more competitive,
Yeah.
but it didn't necessarily make it more fun to watch.
And that's the real question, isn't it?
Right. It's not just about competition. It's about, like, connecting with the fans, making it something they really enjoy.
Exactly. Finding that balance between like real excitement and that, manufactured stuff, between trying new things and keeping the tradition alive. And it seems like the NBA is still trying to figure it all out.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about, casual fans and all that, but I'm kind of curious, like, what did you think after seeing all of this? Did the NBA actually make the All-Star game more entertaining? Like for the average person, I mean.
That's a really good question. And it's honestly kind of tough to answer. I think it depends on like what you find entertaining,
Yeah.
Like if you're someone who's into like all the celebrity stuff and the big halftime shows and all that, then yeah, this year's game probably had something for you.
Yeah. But if you're like a diehard basketball fan, right, and you just want to watch amazing players, like actually play basketball,
Right.
then, well, this new format might have been kind of disappointing.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like they're trying to create this like hybrid thing, part sports, part, variety show. And I mean, that could work, right? But this year it felt kind of messy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people, like you said, they just want something real. You
Yeah.
know, they
Yeah.
want to see the players actually care. They want to feel like the game matters.
Definitely. And, there were some awesome moments.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember when Damian Lillard, all those clutch shots?
Oh, yeah.
And some of the defensive plays were incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
But then they'd cut away to, like, a commercial or something. It just killed the vibe.
It's like they need to figure out what they actually want this game to be.
Like,
Is it about celebrating basketball, like the best players showing off their skills? Or is it just like a big show to attract more viewers?
it's a tough decision, right? And whatever they choose is going to, like, change things a lot.
All right, so let's go back to that NHL thing, right? The Four Nations tournament.
Okay.
They really seem to have nailed this whole All-Star thing. It feels like competitive and meaningful. What can the NBA learn from them?
I think the NHL has done a great job of, like, promoting the Four Nations tournament as this battle for national pride. It's like they made it a real test of skill, even though it's just, like, a fun game, technically.
Yeah, it feels important, like something's actually at stake.
Right, exactly. And part of that might be, like, the prizes. The NHL, they have that winner-takes-all thing.
Oh, yeah.
So the players are actually fighting for something.
And you can see that in how they play, right?
Totally. Like, they're giving it their all, which, is not always the case in the NBA All-Star game.
Right, right. So should the NBA do the same thing, like give the whole prize to the winning team?
That's a tough one. I can see both sides.
Yeah.
Some people think it would, like, cheapen the whole idea of the All-Star game, make it just about the money.
Yeah, yeah.
But then others say that's the only way to make the players actually try, to give the fans, a real game.
It's tricky, for sure. But something has to change, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, we can't keep having All-Star games where the players don't even care.
Right. And it feels like the fans are, like, begging for something different.
Totally. They want to see, like, real basketball, not just, like, manufactured drama.
They want to see their favorite players actually playing.
Exactly. And, this whole thing, it's kind of a wake-up call for the NBA, Like, they got to remember what this game is supposed to be about. It's about the sport, the players, not just, like, money and commercials.
Yeah, it's a celebration of basketball. Okay, so we're about to wrap up our deep dive into this year's All-Star Weekend. And the big question remains, what happens next? Can the NBA fix this? Can they make it an event that's both fun and meaningful?
I think the answer is we'll have to wait and see.
Right.
But hopefully they'll listen to what people are saying,
Yeah.
and make some changes so that the All-Star game, stays something special.
Yeah, exactly. And for all of your listening, I hope to deep dive gave you like a better understanding of this whole All-Star Weekend thing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic.
It makes you think about, sports and entertainment and like what fans actually want. So what do you think? Did the NBA do a good job this year? Or do they need to like start over? We want to hear your thoughts. Keep thinking about these issues and, keep the conversations going.
Yeah, don't just accept what you see, Think critically, question things, and most importantly, keep loving basketball. Two II